All right, what is up, takers, and welcome back to Ty's Take Today Live. You guys already know how it is. We do this each and every Thursday and Sunday. Happy Thursday to those that are watching us live. And just a reminder, we're currently streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. All right, and y'all already know how we do it each and every episode. Be sure to follow us on Facebook / at It's Ty's Take Today. Go ahead and subscribe to us on Instagram at It's Ty's Take Today. And if you haven't already, be sure to also subscribe to us on YouTube at It's Ty's Take Today. Coming up on tonight's show, we are talking to three various and different guests. Up first, we're going to be chatting with entrepreneur and author Anthony Johnson. We're going to be talking about his book and his current projects and giving back to the community. Second up, we are talking to Dmareae, who is the founder of Real Life Detroit Film and Photography. And then we're going to be talking about his podcast as well, and being the co-founder of the Loft 313. And then closing us out, for those of you that may not be like myself and have no idea what they're doing when it comes to DIY projects and just household decorating, we're going to be talking to DIYer, home decorator, and YouTuber Jarrod at home. So without further ado, just a reminder, if you guys are watching, you guys can share your take. And if you have any questions for our guests in the chat, we'll be sure to share those during the live conversation and make the conversation interactive and engaging. So I'm going to go ahead and take this YouTube banner off and welcome to this virtual stage our first guest, Coach Ant.
Yeah, how's it going?
Doing well. How's it going? Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's going great. You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I don't want to waste any time. I just want to dive right in and, introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about yourself and, how you built your career in legacy and leadership and the projects that you're currently working on.
Okay, great. Well, what's going on, y'all? My name is Coach Ant. That's what I go by now. My, legal name is Anthony Johnson, but I go by Coach Ant. I've been an entrepreneur since 2017. Had my hands in a little bit of everything when it comes to business and, personal development. I've owned my own gym. I've owned moving companies, cleaning companies, delivery services, run an after school program. So just a host of different businesses that I run, real estate investing. So I have a well-rounded, viewpoint on being an entrepreneur. And I'm just excited to be here today and just, dive more into what I do and how I do it. So I'm just looking forward to a great conversation with you.
Absolutely. And I thank you so much for joining us this evening and telling us a little bit about your journey and sharing part of your story with us and our audience. When it comes to leadership and mentoring, what key moment in your life did you realize that this was two things and two initiatives that you wanted to pursue?
Well, yeah. Well, I've always considered myself a leader, just from earlier on. Ever since I was a child, like captain of the basketball team in high school and, different stuff like that. So I just always found myself in a leadership role. And as I developed and grew, I wanted to share that with other people. So even like currently with me running the Empower Youth Development League, it's an after school program in the Ferndale Public School District. I see a lot of young men that come through my program that remind me of myself. And, I just want to see them grow and become better men each and every day. So being a leader is key. I always say you got to lead by example. So I do my best to make sure that I'm the best version of myself every day, because I know I got at least 20 to 50 young men that's looking at me every day for guidance and for mentorship. So I take pride in that.
Absolutely. And being a fellow ego myself, has there been any key role models or teachers or just overall people that have inspired you along your journey and along your course?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's two people that come to mind. One was my assistant principal at the time, Miss Williams. I believe that she's doing some phenomenal things still in the school districts today. She helped change my life. Back I was in high school, I was a little rough around the edges, and I was doing some things that I shouldn't have been involved in. But Miss Williams actually gave me a second chance, and didn't allow the truancy officer, Mr. Thibodeau, to take me to jail. So, that was a big moment for me. Just her seeing something in me back then that put me back on the straight path. And then my high school freshman basketball coach, his name was Coach Clarence. He was a security guard at the school at the time. But somehow he ended up being a basketball coach. And he just gave me a different outlook on the sport, on the game, and just being, professional on the court and off the court. So both of them combined really helped me out a lot.
Absolutely. Yes. Shout outs to Miss Williams mentioning names that I'm very familiar with. So
Yeah.
most definitely have mad love and respect for her. So for you as an entrepreneur, a coach, a mentor, an author, what have been some of the biggest challenges that you've experienced and that you've had to overcome during your journey thus far?
That's a phenomenal question. Some of my biggest challenges was just starting, to be honest. There's a lot of different events that occurred throughout my life that had tried to stop me. Like even I was in a process of opening my own fitness studio, and right in the midst of doing that, I got into a life-changing car accident. I had multiple bruises to my neck, shoulder, and back. I was on disability for 6 months, and that challenge right there almost took me out the game. I almost didn't want to do anything else after that. I experienced a little bit depression and was going through some hard times. I had invested over $20,000 into an establishment that I couldn't even operate in anymore. So that was hard for me, but I just overcame and just remembered that I have a purpose in my life, and I can't just let one tough occurrence stop me. And I just kept going. So I would say that one of the biggest things is just starting, because there's so many different things in life that try to stop us, but you just got to remember to keep going.
Absolutely. And I know you mentioned Empower Youth Development League earlier in our conversation. Can you tell us a little bit more about this program and about the opportunities? And if there's anybody involved, are you guys still allowing and seeking new people to participate in those programs?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the Empower Youth Development League, we also call it the EYDL. It's out of the Ferndale Public School District. I partner with the Charter Township of Royal Oak, which is a city that's right outside of Ferndale. I partner with their Park and Recreation Board, and we provide programming for the students in that area. Underserved kids that's not really getting the resources that they so rightly deserve. So if anybody wants to sponsor or just get more information about that, you can contact me directly. 248-847-5100. We foster relationships with boys and girls ages 8 through 16, and we help them out. We provide educational support, mentorship with life skills training, and we also have sports as well. In the current stages of our program, we're focusing a lot on technology. We hosted a major event called the Youth Tech Fest, and we're getting ready for Youth Tech Fest 2, where we had a lot of different technology companies come out and do live seminars and workshops with our students. It was right at Ferndale High School. It was a phenomenal event. You can check out the recap at EYDL_2023 on Instagram. And we're just doing big things with the EYDL. And I look forward to continuing to partner with my partners and other people in the surrounding area to help empower the youth as much as we can.
Absolutely. And then we should include the event information and more information in on our social media platforms as well. So for you, how do you use sports directly as a tool for overall personal growth and development when it comes to younger athletes?
That's a great question. With me being the head freshman basketball coach at Ferndale High School, sports is a big part of my life. And like I always tell my guys that I'm coaching, the characteristics that you learn in sports carry over into day-to-day life. You talk about commitment, you talk about dedication, loyalty, hard work, always showing up. Those are things that you got to do on a day-to-day basis. So I use sports as, like you said, a tool to help them understand that they can go far. One of my famous quotes I always tell them is basketball could change your life. And by that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to go to the NBA, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go play overseas. But if you stick to the principles of what the basketball game can show you, you never know what can happen in your life. So I definitely use sports to, ring those bells that normally don't get rung for these young men in my programs.
Absolutely. And, working directly with youth, I think it's so important for, youth overall to have a positive example, or even for, grown adults to have those positive influences and friendships. For you, what are some of the biggest challenges that you see that are directly currently impacting our youth today?
That's another great question. From what I see from an up close view is, emotional intelligence. Being able to control your emotions through adversity is a challenge that I see. I did a study actually, and COVID-19 had dropped kids' social interaction skills by 84%. And that's because they were at home during a lot of their formative years. They didn't really have to go out and interact with people. So, when they went back to school, they really didn't know how to control and deal with their emotions. And I see that carry over on the basketball court. I see it in the hallways when I'm just in the school, just walking around. And I do my best to try to, motivate them, encourage them to tap more into their emotions. Like if I see one of my basketball players was having a hard day, I tell them it's okay to cry. And honestly, men don't get told that very often. But you got to know how to process and deal with what you're going through so you can move on and be successful in what you're trying to do. So that's definitely one of the biggest things that I see. And that's a problem that, I'm working hard to solve.
Absolutely. And I know you mentioned, an almost tragic accident that you experienced in your life. So were there any other obstacles or challenges that maybe made you question your path, or did you always know that this is something that you wanted to pursue?
You know what, man? There was a lot of serious events that happened to me over the years that kind of directed my path. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but just never knew exactly what I wanted to do. It wasn't until my experiences, some losses in my life, personally, that really made me wonder and ask myself, what's my purpose? And I actually have that chapter in my book, Purpose Points: A Pathway to a Meaningful Life, if you want to hear more about what that story was about. But yeah, that it was some losses that I took that made me really wipe my lenses and see what path was I actually going to go on. And I'm so grateful that I did that because I've done a lot since that moment. So yeah, that was just some personal losses that I experienced.
Absolutely. I completely understand. Speaking of your book, I do want to talk a little bit more about your book. And if you can tell us a little bit about it, Purpose Points: A Pathway to a Meaningful Life. What can people expect from this book? And what message do you hope that our audience or readers take away from reading your work?
Oh yeah, well thank you for that nice shot right there of the book too. That looks good. Yeah, Purpose Points: A Pathway to a Meaningful Life was written by me, was self-published by me as well. And it's a book filled with 10 principles that will help direct you to your purpose. One of my favorite chapters in the book is self-motivation. I feel like that's the message that I want people to take away out of all the great gems that I'm dropping in this book. You gotta be self-motivated, because especially when you take that journey as an entrepreneur, or even if you're in the corporate world or whatever you're doing in life, you're not always going to get the applause that you want from everybody, and then the people that support you the most may be complete strangers. So if you don't have enough fuel in yourself to keep going every day, nobody's going to believe like you believe. So that's one of the big topics that I talk about in Purpose Points. I feel like all 10 of those principles will point you in the direction of where you should be going with your life. And at the end of the book, if you get to a place where you like, okay, I know my purpose, but I don't know exactly how to get there, you can reach out to me again directly. And I help life coach over 300 plus people over the years. I can definitely make sure that I steer you in the right direction. So it's a lot of good stuff in the book. I hope people go check it out after seeing this.
Yes, absolutely. I am super excited to be reading it forthcoming. And speaking of, if you do want to get your hands on a copy of Anthony's book, we do have a couple books that we're giving away. So be sure to show us some love in the comments. I
Oh
know
yeah.
if you guys want to win your chance or have your chance at receiving that book, be sure to drop some comments. Real quick, speaking of people that are watching, we have Kimberly Charlene Miller checking in saying hello. Shout out to my mom as always, saying good job, Tyler. Much appreciated and much love. Dmareae Miller as well, who is going to be on deck after your interview. So, like I said, if you guys are watching on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch, you guys can be sure to drop some comments, show some love. We'll be giving away a couple copies of Anthony's book later on. And Anthony, for you, really, I just want to talk a little bit more about leadership and if you had to say, like, what three qualities or what are three top qualities, when it comes to leadership?
Um, that's a great question as well. One, I would say, you always got to show up. You always got to show up. If you have people that's behind you and they're looking up to you for some type of guidance or some type of instruction, or you run a team or you operate a business, you have to always show up as a leader. You have to be there. That's number one. Number two, you have to learn how to be a great listener. Even though you are a leader and you're the one that's most likely calling the shots and you're most likely organizing and getting everything together, you have to be able to hear other people's opinion and not get offended by it. And I struggled with that in my early years because I'm kind of strong here. I kind of felt like I knew everything, and I kind of felt like my word was final. But as I began to start listening to people and understanding their ideas and looking at their perspective, it actually helped the process or the project a lot more. So one, I would say showing up. Two, I would say be a great listener, and then three, I would say just be dedicated. Be dedicated to what you're doing. Be dedicated to the people that you influence, and dedicated to the people that you serve. And other people will see that. Other people will see that. And I think that my audience and the people that I come in contact with on a day-to-day basis can see that I truly take hold to all of those three characteristics. And I hope the same for all my other future leaders out there, that they do the same.
Absolutely. And one last question for you. What is one, if you could change one thing about the approach, that, when it comes to youth development, what would you change about the way society approaches youth development currently?
That's another great question. I would say don't be so hard on the kids. This their first time here, just like it's our first time here. They're not going to know everything right off bat. They're not going to know, all the rules and regulations to everything. So give them a little grace. I would say, I feel like we so hard on the youth, and we expect them to be a certain way, but if they've never seen it, how they gonna be that way? How, if they don't know to open the door for a lady when she walked through, how can you scold them for not holding the door open? So you have to just be a little patient and just not so hard on the kids these days. I feel like that would help a lot. I think that's one of my main keys to why I connect with them so well, is because they can see that I truly have their back, and I'm not, even though I demand respect, I'm not going to, you know, act like I know it all, or I'm not being able to come down to their level and resonate with them and their feelings and emotions and things that they're going through as well. So I would definitely say that if society could just be a little more softer with the youth, they'll probably listen more and be more inclined to make the changes we want them to make.
Absolutely, dropping gems as always. And then Anthony, before we get out of here, I do want to play a quick game of rapid fire, which is basically we do this with all of our guests.
Mhm.
It's a couple rapid fire questions that are completely random. First up, if you could have dinner with any three people living or past, who would they be?
If I could have dinner with any three people, I gotta have dinner with. I'm gonna go with Jay-Z. I'm gonna go with Kobe Bryant, and I'm going to go with Malcolm X. That'll be my three.
All right, all right. And the next one, what's one song that always gets you hyped up?
One song that always get me hyped up, I would say, is one song. That's tough. I would say probably Dreams and Nightmares, Meek Mill. That's a classic. Or First Day Out, T Grizzly. Something like that.
Absolutely. If you could coach any NBA team for one season, which team would it be?
I would coach the '04 Pistons if I can go back and coach Chauncey, Rip, Ben, Tayshaun, and Sheed. With that defense mentality they had, I think we'll get a ring same way they did that year.
Absolutely. What is your go-to motivational quote? I know you dropped one earlier.
My go-to motivational quote, I would say, is my definition of success. The more that I give, the more that I earn.
Nice, nice. If you could switch lives with any person, who would it be and why?
I would switch lives with myself, man. I'd do it all over again, to be honest. I like my life, and I would just try to go back and make some changes that could put me a little further ahead.
Absolutely. And last rapid fire question. If you could master any skill outside of coaching and leadership, what would it be?
I would say I would master the skill of being able to fish, catch my own food on a consistent basis, so I can make sure I eat for the rest of my life. That's something I would do.
Absolutely. Great answers. And then real quick, Anthony, before we get out of here, if you can let everybody know where they can find you and connect with you on social media, as well as learn about more information about Empower Youth Development League.
Okay, great. Yeah, y'all can check me out at Coach Ant Johnson on Instagram. That's my main platform. I'm always on there. Anthony Johnson on Facebook. There's a lot of Anthony Johnson, so you got to look for my face on there. And then if you want to learn more about the Empower Youth Development League, I have a Facebook group, EYDL. We have over 100 members in there. And then you can go to EYDL_2023 on Instagram if you would like to connect with the Empower Youth Development League. That's where we at.
Absolutely. And like I said earlier, we'll be sure to include all of your social media contact in the description of this video. Before we get out of here, any last minute words or anything we may have missed? And I do also want to go ahead and show the cover of the book one more time, because if you guys are watching live, you have a chance of obtaining a copy of Anthony's book. So be sure to show some love in the comments, let us know you're interested, and then be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms for a chance to win some copies of that.
Thank you for that. Last minute words for me is just make sure you stay tapped in to Todd's Take today. Make sure that you support the platform. Make sure you reach out to him if you got something that you can add value to what he got going on. Make sure that you tap in with him. He does a phenomenal job, and I'm grateful to be on the show here today, man. So thank you again, and I look forward to anytime you need me. I'll be right back.
Absolutely. And then I'm looking forward to maybe another book coming in the near future. And as always, keeping our audience updated with the projects that you have going on in the community. So I thank you for joining us as our first guest this evening.
Thank you for having me. Y'all take care.
All right, that was author and entrepreneur Anthony Johnson. If you guys, like I said, want a copy of that book, we are giving away some copies courtesy of Anthony. And I just want to say, Kimberly is checking in. Yes, this video will be recorded. If you aren't watching it back live, you guys can watch it on Facebook and YouTube. So we'll be sure to have tonight's conversation posted for those that may not be able to catch it live this evening. All right, so up next, as we are continuing our live edition of Size Take Today Live, we are going to be chatting with Dmareae. So I'm going to go ahead and add him to the virtual stage right now. How's it going? Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Oh, and I think we may have you muted.
There we go. My bad. I didn't want to interrupt.
No worries.
But yeah, no, appreciate being here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I just want to say thank you for joining us, and I really want to introduce you to our audience. For those of us that may not be familiar with who you are, if you can kind of tell us a little bit more about yourself and the projects that you do.
Oh yeah, so I'm kind of dabbling in everything, you know. I was on the music side for a little bit, but then I found a new love more so on the production side of things and the film and photography world. So that's what I decided to pursue. And now we got that rolling. Couple of businesses that people are taking a lot of attention to. So
Absolutely. And speaking of businesses, segueing us into our next question, can you tell us a little bit about, founding your own company, Real Life Detroit Film and Photography, and what kind of inspired you to, create this platform, and what's the vision that you have for it currently and for its future?
so it really all started because I didn't like paying so much money to shoot things that I thought I could do that particularly I care more about, stuff like that. I do believe, I do gotta let you know though. So I'm currently actually managing a studio, and I might have somebody come in, so I'm just letting you know. But that primarily all came from just seeing the value in my own potential. And I decided, hey, since I got the money to do it, let's try it.
Absolutely. And then I know, being so young, what has been like some of the most challenges or the obstacles that you've experienced thus far in your journey? And it's all good. You guys are actually watching Size Take Today Live. We are live.
Yeah, sorry about that. What was your question? I don't want to I want to answer properly.
So just what has been some of the what has been the biggest challenges you've experienced as an entrepreneur and as a business owner?
So really I like to do a lot of things myself, but um realizing that it takes a team, you know, like it takes a village to raise a child, so to speak. It takes a team to really go places.
Absolutely. And how does, being in Detroit, how does the rich history of art, music, and culture influence some of your work?
Oh man, so being from Detroit, Motown, Temptations, that's what we kind of grew up with. So just seeing new ways of looking at things, not just musically, but seeing people shine, that's something that inspired me for sure. I would say it definitely saturated my color palette, so to speak.
Absolutely. And can you tell us a little bit about your work? I know we're looking currently
I don't
at
know.
your
The
website.
manager.
Can you tell us a little bit about the different types of shoots and type of work that you do with clients?
Oh yeah, so essentially I'm a one-stop shop for anything content. So I'm doing weddings, I'm doing personal, I'm doing pets, fraternity, or, you know, pretty much everything from A to Z. So I do get a I do get a lot of, I would say I get a lot of time to see what I truly enjoy.
Absolutely. And how would
Mhm.
you say your work or and the work that you publish sets yourself apart from like other photographers or other people in the industry?
So uh I like to say there's no wrong way to do photography. So from shooting, portraits or shooting event photography, everybody got their own bag and finding the uniqueness. Like, I know you probably seen some of those black and white. Like, not everybody shoots black and white, so I kind of leaned into something that would set me apart. Um, but yeah, just learning new skills and trying them out and not being bound by the walls of like when you go to school and you're taught to think a certain way. Me learning from only trial and error showed me to think outside the box a lot more quicker, a lot easier, and it allowed me to experiment in ways that most people won't even think.
Absolutely. And for you, what would you say the most powerful story that you've been able to capture or document when it comes to photography or film?
Powerful. Um, I would love to, what I mean, talk all day about powerful moments, but I think just recently, like probably like 2 weeks ago, I was filming. A guy reached out to me and he wanted to shoot a video of him proposing to his lady. And one thing I've been really troubled with, oh yeah, yeah. One thing I've really been troubled with is that love is hard to find these days. It's not around the corner like it used to be. So to see, someone dedicated to making their lady happy, it made me feel like love ain't dead yet. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that was probably so cool just being able to be in that element and assist and
Hey,
be able to capture the moment.
I was so I'm sitting in the bathroom for 15 minutes waiting for him to do the code. Yeah, no, it was a moment for sure. And by the time he came in, it was two older gentlemen in the bathroom with me talking about it. 'Cause- And then he was like, "No, no, no, we waiting on you." And we all walked out together.
So
Yeah.
I know we talked a little bit about real life Detroit film and photography. But I know you're also the co-founder of the Loft 313 podcast. So can you tell our audience a little bit more about that project and what type of vibe and what people can experience when they tune in and listen to that?
So the Loft 313, I'll just say what it is. It's a podcast, but we want it to feel like late night television, you know. Like the people that come on, we don't take just anybody. There's a rigorous team that we're going through who would be the best for our audience. So, um, and I just want to give a shout out to the Loft 313 and a shout out to our other co-founder, which is Felix the Don. And but yeah, no. Sorry, what was the question? I don't want to be running off here.
Oh no, you're good. Just what people can expect. So I know you said like a late night
Uh,
type talk show, like a late night talk show vibe.
right. So what they can expect more so is people in the community from Detroit that has something to say. So I will get into it later, I guess, when you ask more questions. But like, we've had people that come on there and they talk about what they got going on. Like Trick's manager, he was telling us things. You probably seen him from the billboards in the city, but Mike Morris, from the Mike Wins, like he came on and told us about, etiquette as far as law. So it's really the stories are always dictated to the guests, but you learn game every time you get up in there. So I say people check it out.
Absolutely. So I know you mentioned Mike Morse for those that aren't familiar or in Michigan, but if you are in Michigan or Detroit, you've definitely seen his face all over the billboards, all over the buses. So aside from like those interviews that you mentioned, was there any other like conversation or guest thus far that you guys have had on the show that really like was a dope moment or experience for you?
Oh yeah, yeah. So Calvin Johnson came on a podcast, him and Rob Sims. Um, and man, everybody from Detroit, we always love us to some mega tries. So, just being able to be like, he right here, he trying to sign merch for you, you want to take pictures with you, and this is all something that I built up with my man. So to see it kind of bring in these quality or this type of level of guests was just like, yeah, perfect. This is dope.
Absolutely. And speaking of like guests, as far as the Loft 313, do you guys have any upcoming events or projects or interviews you guys are looking to manifest or that are going to be happening later this year?
Yeah, man. I'll drop one because sometimes we like to keep it low key and surprise them because we got so many connections. Y'all don't know really what we gonna do next. But if you ever heard of White Boy Rick,
Yep.
he about to be on, how the BMF is popping and stuff. We had to get him on the show. I'm not sure if it aired yet, but for the hockey fans, Darren McCarthy just got his in, you know what I mean? So that's gonna be coming out pretty soon. And yeah, stuff like that.
Absolutely. So if you haven't already, be sure to follow the Loft 313 on Instagram. I believe it's in the drop down below.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
so definitely got some big interviews and projects forthcoming for later this year. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
for lastly, before we play a quick game of rapid fire, just what message do you hope that people get from when it comes to your work with photography and film, as well as the Loft 313? What does that legacy look like that you want to leave behind?
Yeah. So I would say for what the goal is with me, I want people to understand that like I said earlier, there's no wrong way to do it. Photography is all from the heart, all about your eye, and your style is your style. Last 20 years ago, people thought that, those videos that look jittery look terrible. Now they're in music videos like that. So it's all about perspective. And as far as goals, for the future, the loft, we're just gonna get bigger, bring on more dope guests. We'll probably branch off and do like a sister company so that, local cats that, may not have the buzz, they can still get on the show, they still tell their story, just like moments like these where they can just really, educate people. So, and then with my business, to the top. That's what I'm trying to do.
Absolutely. So, for those that may be watching, interested in booking you for film and photography work, they can just reach out to you on Instagram, social media.
Uh, yeah, yeah. So you can find me on Instagram, at Dmareae on RLD Films and at the Loft 313. Or you can go to just Real Life Detroit, spelled with the REEL, and you guys can book me through there. Check out some work as well.
Absolutely. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into this quick rapid fire. If you could shoot a documentary about any topic, what would it be?
Definitely climate change. Definitely. I want to educate people in that. And yes, climate change.
And then, do you have any projects coming up that may be centering around creating more awareness about climate change?
I'm actually starting a Detroit-based interview platform where the message is the only You know what I mean? A place where people can go, like, DJ Academics, when he
Mhm.
posts it, they know it's real. This is going to be a source for the newer generation that likes to be on social media. They're going to be able to have a trusted source that educates Black youth on things like credit cards, things like how to apply for credit cards, what you say to them, what they looking for. You know what I mean? What you're looking for in it. So things like finance, climate change, and what we can do at home to eat healthier. That I'm about to start a whole platform. It's hopefully a take to the new generation.
Absolutely. Having those conversations, like I like to think of it as like, those conversations that are often, swept under the rug or people don't want to discuss because it's easier not to at times.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, next question. What is your favorite spot in Detroit to capture the perfect shot?
Perfect shot. Oh, Banks Media Studio. I'm gonna flip the camera just so y'all can see what's going on, man. If it ain't if it's studio, I'm here. You know what I mean? It's a vibe for sure.
Absolutely. If you could trade creative skills with any artist for a day, who would it be?
They're gonna hate me forever, but I'm gonna trade them with Drake. I'm gonna trade them with Drake, and I'm gonna write myself a feature real quick. Yep.
Hey, answering honestly, that's all that we ask.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They're not gonna like that, but
What is speaking of music, what is one song that instantly puts you in a creative mood or mindset?
creative mood or mindset. Mm. Oh yeah. Proud of Myself by NBA Youngboy. I'm not sure if you ever heard it, but it takes me on a journey, man. He has the intro where he's talking about some stuff about stealing oranges off of trees, and I'm like, man, that's childhood right there.
I have not heard it, but I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to
Hey,
take a listen.
please do, because you're gonna listen to it. All he's talking about is, I can tell you that I'm proud of myself for all the good things and the bad things, but I'm proud of myself for it. Yeah, shout
Definitely
out to
gonna
my
have.
mama too. Her name, yeah, she up in there.
I was
Kimberly
gonna
Miller.
say the moms stay in the lives and
Hey,
supporting, which
yeah,
is
I see you. Yeah, yeah,
much
that's love.
appreciated. Much appreciated.
Hmm.
Um, if you had to describe your photography style in 3 words, what would they be?
Artistic, nonchalant, and immersive.
Nice, nice. I'm always
Probably
thinking
some
like
terrible
for these
words.
questions, I'm always thinking like what my answers would be because it's easy for me to ask them, but then I'm like when it comes to my answers, I'm not even sure how I would answer some of these questions. Lastly, if you could travel to any era to photograph history, where would you go?
Oh, okay. I got two of them, and I'm gonna just give a brief. I would be Vietnam War era, the photos from that time period. I know that war is dangerous, but the photographers that were there, they took some crazy shots. And then the civil rights movement. Oh my God. You know, black and white civil rights. Ooh, I could go crazy on that.
Absolutely. And then lastly, before we get out of here, Demareae, go ahead and let everybody know once again where to find you on social media and if they're interested in booking you for shoots.
Oh yeah, so you can find me at, my name Demareae, at Dmareae on IG or RLD_films or the Loft 313. And if you like to book me, you can go through the Instagram, or if you want, you can go to reallifedetroit.com. And that's REEL Detroit.com.
Absolutely. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing part of your evening with us and just a little bit about your journey and story. Definitely we'll be in contact because we're gonna need to take Ties Take Today live to the next level soon.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm gonna have to bring you to the studio. We're gonna have to do some live. You know what I mean? Like right here, right here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am totally down. Thank you so much again for
Most
joining us
definitely.
tonight.
All right, my brother. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Abs- Absolutely. All right. So you guys are watching Ties Take Today live. Once again, we do this each and every Thursday and Sunday. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Currently live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. and that was Dmareae. He is a photographer, filmmaker, and co-founder of the Loft 313 podcast. Don't mind me, guys. I am just cycling through my notes over here. And coming up next, for those of you that may be interested in DIY, or if you're like myself and you don't know what the heck you're doing, hopefully our next guest can surely help me out. So without further ado, I am going to add our next guest to the virtual platform. This is Jarrod at home.
Hey, what's going on, Ty?
What's going on? Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I just want to say real quick, shout outs to everybody in the chat as well. I know if you guys are watching in, you guys can send us your questions. You guys can let us know where you're watching from. Real quick, I'm just going to share some of these. Kimberly was checking in. My mom was checking in. She said she needed the book from the first guest. So I'm going to have to get her a copy of that book. But you guys
I'm going to try to get a copy of that book too.
You guys can definitely chime in with your thoughts. Like I said, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. But I really want to dive right in and share with our audience a little bit more about yourself, and what was that defining moment for you where you were like, I'm gonna be a DIYer, I'm gonna be a home decorator, I'm gonna create content focusing on DIY and home projects.
Yeah, so my name is Jarrod, or I go by Jarrod at home. I am a new homeowner. Actually, April will be a year in Georgia, living in Atlanta, right outside of Atlanta. Honestly, I've always been around like DIY and decor and all of that. My mom and my dad growing up, I'm from the country. So my dad has always been very handy, with plumbing and electrical work and, being able to build certain things around the house. And then my mom, she's always been into like fashion and decor and colors and knowing how to put things together to make it look nice. So I've just kind of like always been around it. I've always been engulfed in it. So when I brought my house, I was like, one of the big things that I wanted to do was do a lot of the things myself. Instead of hiring an interior decorator, I wanted to try to do it myself. And instead of buying, furniture from like, let's say Ashley Furniture or Value City Furniture, I wanted to try to build those things myself. And, I had a lot of experience already, just with helping my dad around the house and helping my mom decorate around the house. So, that's just kind of how it kind of just fell into place for me.
Absolutely. So just having those early on experiences or firsthand accounts of, like you said, your parents being very creative. For you initially, because I know nowadays it's like everybody creates content, or, even if you're a therapist or say a career that generally you wouldn't think, oh, social media, oh, content, videos, shorts. What was your initial goal or vision when you decided that you were going to start creating content?
So I guess, like being a millennial, we kind of grew up with the whole content age and stuff. So I've always kind of done content. Like I would do gym content, or I would do travel content, or, a get ready with me content and stuff like that. So I've kind of always been into doing content. I think that like once I brought the house and I was actually building the house, and I would come and shoot like little videos of like the progress of the house, it just kind of felt like, okay, well, you know what? I think I might have found my niche, like I like decorating, I like doing DIYs. I'm already showing people, the progress of my home build. So, why not kind of just, take that and capitalize on it the best way I can, and it's something that I really enjoy doing. So it's really not hard to do it. But yeah, that's just kind of how I felt for it. And then the vision, I look at a lot of YouTube videos, and that's, again, as a DIYer, that's what you do. You look at other people do stuff, and then you just try to tackle it yourself. And I know a lot of times that I would look at YouTubers that do it, and I'm like, I don't get what they're doing. I don't know how they're doing it. And I just said, well, one of the visions that I wanted to do was making sure that I make stuff and do stuff that's very easy to do, that anybody can do it. Anybody who may not be well versed in the whole DIY world, they could actually, pick up a tool and do it too.
Absolutely. So because I'm the type that when I order something or like furniture, this bookshelf behind me, I had no parts to putting together. So I'm just thinking of all the things in my apartment right now that I'm like, Tyler, DIY, probably not, but like I'll watch you. But I don't know if I can. I don't. That's not.
I'm sure you could. I'm sure you could. Because I was the same way. I mean, I thought I couldn't do stuff either. And then once you get into it, you really realize like, okay, wait, I can actually do this.
So for you, what would you say if you had to say that, what has been the biggest challenge or obstacle that you've had to overcome thus far during your journey?
Um, Time. Time is the biggest obstacle because, I still work a job. I still have, the regular 9 to 5, and with my job, it requires me to be gone out of town sometimes. So, it's really trying to find that medium of, okay, I need to be home enough to actually get projects done, to, you know, uh, get things done, but then also I still got to work. So it's just like that's really been the biggest challenge.
Absolutely. So just finding that balance between work and multiple projects and everything,
Yes.
kind of setting the time out to actually accomplish and get the projects done. Um,
hmm
for someone that is completely new to home decorating or even DIY projects, what are the top 3 tools that
Oh
you feel they
man.
should have on hand always?
Oh, this is a good one. Dang. Okay, of course, an electric screwdriver. I see Kimberly said she said she would need help. I got you, Kimberly. I got you. I think the top 3 tools, definitely an electric screwdriver. You would need a tape measure, and believe it or not, it's actually very like simple. But you need like a pencil or a pen. Yeah, a lot of times people don't have that. You got to write your measurements down.
Okay. Okay. I was like, don't name stuff that I don't have no idea what they are. Um,
See, very simple, very simple.
Google's real quick. Um, So for homeowners out there that may be struggling with decorating, because owning a home is extremely expensive in itself nowadays. So
Yes, yes.
what's some advice or what are your best tips for homeowners that when it comes to making a space look very high end without spending a fortune?
Oh, listen, I am the budget king, okay? Like I'm not about to spend a lot of money on stuff. I think really is one of the biggest things is research. You can always, especially with like Google nowadays, you can take a picture of something that's high end and then like put it into the Google search and it like literally finds like the dupes. We're really moving into a age of dupes nowadays. And that's one of the biggest things that I do. I find the dupes, I find the more affordable versions of certain things that may have a high ticket value. And it's all about placement. When you get something like, for instance, I have this little cheap, um, like I call it like my little liquor bar, but I only paid like $100 for it. And it's all about placement. It's all about what you put on top of it to make it look high end. One of the things that my mom always taught me: spray paint will be your best friend. And sometimes when something is not the right color, just spray paint it, and you can get a really good spray paint for like $8, and then that will literally elevate it and make it look different. So I think one of the biggest things is just really just researching and finding like the dupes of all the high end stuff.
Noted, and I know Nisha as well is in the comments on YouTube. She said noted to one of your earlier comments. So before we continue our conversation, I do want to show one of your videos just a little
Okay.
bit for our audience so they can kind of get a feel for your content. So let me go
Okay.
ahead and load that up now. Playing producer, host, and editor all at the same time.
Listen, you got
But
it.
we're going to go ahead and share this quick video and then we'll resume our conversation.
What's up? I'm Jarrod, and welcome to Jarrod at Home. This channel is a little corner of the internet where I share my love for all things home, decor, and DIY. What started as a passion to save money has turned into a journey of independence, creativity, and learning how to build spaces that truly feel like me. Spaces that I love to live in. Here, it's all about transforming houses into homes, one project at a time. As a first time homeowner, I really realized just how important it is to personalize and maintain your home. Over the past 9 months, I have learned so much, from tackling small repairs to building custom pieces that fit my style and budget. DIY projects have, let me add a personal touch while saving money and gaining the confidence that I can to create things exactly the way I want them. Now, listen, it wasn't always this way though. growing up, I watched my parents work hard as hell to make our house feel like home. And I was really never the one to get my hands dirty or want to put stuff together or, you know, help around the house. But, you know, they really inspired me to with their creativity and their get it done attitude. Whether it was fixing something that broke or designing a new space, they taught me that sometimes the best way to get shit done was just to roll up your sleeves and do it yourself. And now I'm carrying that same mindset, you know, into my home. But let me tell you, this shit has not always been smooth sailing. I'll never forget the first time I did my first DIY project, y'all, and I tried to build rather a simple wooden frame for a canvas painting that I made. And it was lopsided on all four sides. None of the sides met. It was definitely not even a square. But and the brad nailer that I was using at the time, I ended up nailing my finger to the frame. And let's just say it wasn't exactly a Pinterest worthy experience. But every mistake has really taught me something new, and that's a part of the journey. And it's something that's so beautiful about stepping back after you finish a project and think, damn, I made that. It's a really rewarding feeling.
Absolutely. So, for those of you that are just tuning in, we are chatting with Jarrod at home. That was just a little piece of your content. I want to kind of dive in and talk a little bit more about style in design and just overall decorating.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice when it comes to, you know, creating just that type of environment? I know with apartments, you're usually looking at not a lot of space. So any apartment renters, do you have any tips or advice, or even, you know, with your home playing such a huge role in like mental well-being, how do you create that space that, you know, is peaceful and inspiring?
Yeah, so the first part of the question about the apartment. So, like when you're dealing with smaller spaces, you always less is always more. That is going to be your biggest takeaway for making a space feel cozy and not too cluttered. Is always less is more. Especially in apartments, you know, sometimes you have different styles of configurations of layouts. So you really just have to play on um, the space that you have, you know, whether it's, you know, instead of getting a large sectional, maybe you get just one couch and two chairs, you know, or maybe if you really want a sectional, you get like a 3-seat sectional instead of like a 6-seat sectional, you know. So it's just really about maximizing your space. You know, sometimes you may not have the space for a coffee table, but you may have space for end tables. You know, it gives you more space for flow. It gives you more space for, you know, through traffic and all of that. So that would be like my advice as far as, you know, decorating maybe an apartment or a smaller space. When it comes to decorating my house or just in general, when it comes to, you know, creating a space that's like, you know, for your mental, I'm really big on like being cozy. So when I come home, I love you know, the smell of my wallflowers that I use from Bath and Body Works. I love to come home to a clean house. You know, I love to, you know, sit on my plush couch. You know, so like these things, these small things that make, it kind of just settles me when I walk into the house and the house smells good and it's clean. So that's kind of like how, you know, it plays on my, you know, plays with my mental, you know, as far as my space.
Absolutely. And Gerard, do you have any upcoming projects you're currently working on, or as we progress into 2025, is there any collaborations or just overall YouTube content or social media content or projects that you're currently working on?
Oh, yes, I'm doing so much. So I actually am finishing up my bathroom haul. I'm going to be posting content on that soon. Just like you, I'd be like editing and shooting and doing all of that. So it kind of takes a little while. But yeah, I'm working on my bathroom haul. I am doing a laundry room reno. Actually, I think she actually commented. Her name is Nisha. I'm doing her laundry room renovations coming up soon. And then me and her are actually going to be collaborating. She has an organization business where, you know, she comes in and organizes like your pantries and like, you know, all that kind of stuff like that. So we're going to do some collaborative things soon. I'm also the mirror that I took out of my bathroom, I'm actually going to repurpose it and turn it into a standing mirror in my bedroom. So I'm going to shoot some content on that. Like I said, I'm all about, you know, DIY, and I'm also all about saving money. And it's so funny because I was actually going to buy like a $300 mirror, and then when they took the mirror down, it didn't crack. I was like, oh, look at that, a free mirror. I can just repurpose it. So now I can save $300. So yeah, you know, I think just basically all of 2025, I'm just really going to be honing in on, trying to get the content out and trying to get the YouTube videos out, and all that good stuff like that.
Absolutely. Definitely. I'm gonna have to reach out to Nisha see if we can feature her on here as well, because the keyword for 2025 is organization.
Organization,
I was
yes.
telling my boyfriend that is the key word for all of 2025. And I know he's listening to me like, all right, so when are you gonna start? That's a separate conversation. But I want to play a quick game of rapid fire before we get you out of here. What is your go-to color palette for decorating?
Oh, neutrals, creams, browns, tans, blacks. I mean, anything, as you can see, very neutral.
Noted. If you could swap homes with any celebrity for a day, whose house would it be?
Adair Curtis. He's a designer.
Okay. And what's the one home decor trend you'll never get tired of?
Mid-century modern. You can never go wrong with that. Classic style.
And next, what is your favorite DIY project you've done thus far?
It would have to be, I did a laundry room reno at a client's house, and it turned out literally flawless. So that's the best one so far.
Absolutely. If you had to pick only one, paint or wallpaper?
Paint. Oh, yeah, paint.
And then if you could design a dream vacation home anywhere in the world, where would it be and what style would you go for?
Oh, that's a good question. It would be Tahiti. And I would definitely do like a beach rustic kind of style. Yeah.
All right. And Nisha is in the comments. She said, organization, out with the clutter, in with the calm.
She's on it. She's on it.
I am here for it. And then, Jarrod, before we get out of here, can you let everybody know where to find you on social media and any last minute thoughts or takeaways? And
so not Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. It's all Jarrod at Home. Jarrod, Jarrod. Oh, it's on the screen. So yeah, Jarrod at Home. It's across all platforms, and on YouTube as well. Jarrod at Home. That's where you can find me. Feel free to DM me, talk to me. I love meeting new people. Also, takeaways. Listen, anybody can be a DIYer. Anybody can build something. It just takes time, patience, and I think that with the right mindset, you can really build anything that you want. So you just got to start doing it.
Absolutely. Jarrod at Home, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We'll get to continue following your projects and hopefully get myself together on some DIY stuff myself, but no promises.
All right. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. All right. This has been Ty's Take Today Live. Real quick, I just want to say shout outs to our guests this evening. Earlier on in the show, we talked to entrepreneur and author Anthony Johnson. So if you want a chance at winning a copy of Anthony's book, which is called Purpose Points, A Pathway to a Meaningful Life, you guys can drop some comments, share this video, follow us on all social media platforms. We're going to be giving away a couple copies of those books. And also coming up on later editions of Ty's Take Today Live, we are talking on Sunday to music artist Roy Covington, rapper Kilo the Dreamer, and then we're also going to be talking to Gene Abraham, who is a reality TV producer and filmmaker. So if you're familiar with Chicago, maybe you've watched the new Collectives, we're going to be talking to him about his project as well. So that's going to be on Sunday's episode, 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. But also I want to say shout outs to our guests this evening. Like I said, Anthony Johnson, Dmareae from Real Life Detroit Photography, and also the Loft, the D-Loft 313 podcast, I believe, if I have my notes correctly. Yes, founder of Real Life Detroit Film and Photography, as well as co-founder of the Loft 313 podcast. So shout outs to Dmareae, and then our last guest, Jarrod at Home. Be sure to follow all of our guests on social media and YouTube and Instagram. We'll be sure to include all of their social media links in the comments of this video. Also, I want to shout out all of our interactive audience members. Kimberly said, I could not even do my Temu closet, LOL. P. Will saying wallpaper for sure. Nisha, organization out with the clutter, in with the calm. Like I said, Kimberly checking in, Kimberly Charlene Miller. And also, where was it? Somewhere in the chat. My mom as well. So that's going to do it for this episode of Ty's Take Today Live. I just want to say thank you all so much for watching. As always, we appreciate you. And we have a lot of interviews and more content and lives coming up later on this month. So be sure to check us out. If you're a up and coming business or a business owner and you're interested in sponsoring opportunities, we would love to collaborate, partner, and work with businesses. So if you're interested in maybe an endorsement or advertising here on Ty's Take Today and all of our social media platforms, be sure to send us an email, tystake-today-podcast@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on any of our social media sites. Y'all already know what time it is before we get out of here. Like I said, our email is currently scrolling at the bottom of the screen, as well as our social media if you want to explore a advertising opportunity or collaboration or partnership that works best for you and your business. We're all about supporting local businesses and upcoming creatives and talent. Facebook.com/@itsTiesTakeToday. Be sure to follow us on Instagram @itsTiesTakeToday as well. And if you're new to us, be sure to subscribe on YouTube @itsTiesTakeToday as we continue to grow our audience. We are so appreciative of all of you that have been rocking with us. If you're watching this episode tonight, you are officially a part of the Taker family. So shout out to all our takers. Much love. This is my attempt at a heart. I don't really know. It doesn't look like a heart, but hey, I'm trying. So we'll see you guys right back here on Sunday, like I said, with music artist Roy Covington, Kilo the Dreamer, who is a rapper and producer and filmmaker of the new collectives, Gene Abraham. All of that is happening on Sunday. I hope you all have a great evening, and we'll see you then.